to stage 2 of the CWL Global Pro League presented by the PlayStation 4. Week 2, day 3 now officially underway. Of course, the final day here of week 2, and there is still so much to play for. I am, of course, Ben. I'll be hosting the studio throughout the day. Joining me on my expert panel, we have Call of Duty World Champion TP, former professional European player Momo, and at the far side there, of course, Merc, Call of Duty XP champion as well. So these guys definitely know what they're talking about. And I'm excited for today because honestly, every single game is going to be very, very important. Still a lot to be played for here on the final day. But first, we should talk a little bit about what is on the line here at stage 2. There is so much money to be won, Momo. I mean, there really is just a surreal amount. I bet you wish you were still playing.
I wish I could take some of this. If I was playing, I definitely wouldn't be. However, stage 2 playoffs, of course, $500,000, $200,000 for first place. And even if you come in 8th, it goes all the way down. But these players, they'll only want that first prize. But to get there, they've got to place top 2. We're going to find out today.
Well, we'll take a look at our group standings coming into the final day, and you take a glance at that bottom side. Team Elevate 0-4, 0-12, a 0% win percentage, I should say, and well, they're 1 L away from breaking Cloud9's record, so we may see some records broken. But in terms of everything going on at the top side, I mean, it really has shaped into a very interesting final day.
I don't think a lot of people were expecting Ghost to really top it as dominant as they have been so far. The biggest thing we have to talk about from yesterday, though, is E6 really keeping their hopes alive, getting that reverse sweep versus FaZe to force that 2-2 sort of tie going into today. So map count going to be very important. There are, I guess, some weird scenarios that could happen that are very unlikely, in which Ghost falls down a little bit, but I think, you know, unless they just completely flop, they should be all right.
And I think the tough thing, Merc, you're kind of looking, yeah, well, they do have to play the 2 most difficult teams in the group. I mean, if you have to give me a percentage of Ghost not qualifying, I mean, where is it at right now?
Like 2%.
2%, but
it's not very high.
But it is there.
But no, I mean, it's a very tough day for these guys. I mean, they have to play Enigma 6, who, again, I feel like that win last night just sort of brought their confidence back. You know, day 1, we didn't see the best E6.
True.
Day 2, we started off slow for those guys, but they were able to win that, you know, game versus FaZe, and I felt like that's what they needed. It's going to be a very tough match for them, and then obviously FaZe, I mean, I just feel like they're going to be angry about that loss, about that reverse sweep. But again, we figured there was going to be some hiccups. They're going to keep getting better. I mean, honestly, if you're losing, if you're FaZe, you're learning a lot from those, so that's very important. They're still in the hunt.
Yeah, I agree, and I think this is where we really see the test of Ghost Gaming. We saw Anaheim.
Yes.
Win, 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 win. Lose to Splice, lose to Red Reserve, you're out. You know, this is the real test because, you know, they've done the Friday and Saturday again. Can they finish strong? You know, starting strong is great. You've got to finish strong, and that's the real test for me. Will Ghost Gaming just come out on top here? Potential 6-0 in the group. It could happen, or everything could just crumble.
Very, very good point, Momo. Excited to see how they play. But before we get to the schedule of the day, I want to go over a couple of players who impressed you guys as of yesterday and who maybe need to step things up. Teep, I'm going to start with you. I know you looked at FaZe Clan's Enable for who impressed you the most.
Oh yeah, just dominant performance overall. Look at that KD right there. That speaks for itself. High Slayer numbers overall. And Enable's really been the most consistent player throughout Infinite Warfare for these guys. In terms of the other players' KDs, they've really been up and down, sort of a roller coaster in that regard. Some really solid placings overall. And now this guy taking over that sort of in-game leader. He's doing a great job at it, obviously. But that loss last night, he needs to be the guy that sort of goes over what went wrong in that reverse sweep, because a team like this, that should never happen. They shouldn't be losing maps, especially to E6, in my opinion. They should be elite.
Well, especially at Game 5, you go up 3-0. Like, you have to be able to close that out. Right. All the advantages in your way. But those Slayer numbers, 29.4, that's ridiculous. Enable having a great weekend.
Definitely is. Needs to keep things up, though, here on the final day of week 2, because FaZe, as we said, their spot definitely not solidified for playoffs just yet. Moving forward, Momo, I know you looked at FaZe as well. Who did you go after?
Mine was Gunless. Okay. I felt like day 1 he had kind of some ups and downs. I think day 2 he really showed a lot better promise. I think the Search and Destroy, relative to the KD that he's shown, I think he played some very smart Search and Destroy.
Okay.
But again, much higher in the Slayer rating than he was on day 1. I think his overall KD now is just kind of, you know, finding itself. I think day 1 he was sat at like a 0.8 or something when he was using like an MV4. He's changed to the K-bar. Again, finding that your feet on land is very difficult, even for such a prolific player like Gunless, and I expect him to do even better today. Especially
considering you're around new teammates for the first time as well, so definitely a little bit of growing pains for the FaZe clan, but we'll see if they can, of course, put them to one side. Merc, moving forward, who impressed you the most yesterday?
I went with the Llama. The Llama God himself.
There he is.
I felt like day 1, he really didn't have have the best of days.
Dude.
But day 2, I believe I saw Nameless talk about it. He was just a beast on throwback uplink. That supposedly is his map, and he just impressed. 1.22, 29 Slayer, 1.88. Day 2, he really stepped it up for that Ghost Gaming team. That's why they're sitting at a perfect 4-0 with 12-2 map count. Might be the best map count we've seen through 2 days.
A 1.88 search and destroy KD there as well. He really did play very, very well. You said it yesterday. Kind of evolved to his full form, if you will. Definitely is a Llama God right now, but he's going to need to keep that up today. Now on the flip side, of course, players who maybe need to step up a little bit. Teep, I'm going to start with you. Who'd you go with?
I'm going to go with Zuma. And the reason I pick him is he was probably the star player on this team for so long now. Why is he negative? That makes zero sense to me. Zuma's just overall natural talent and ability is one of the best in the game, and for whatever reason, he's been so flat, and it's just unacceptable for me. This FaZe team, especially with the pickup of Gunless, Zuma needs to step it up in Search and Destroy. He was one of the best Search and Destroy players a couple years back and just hasn't really been at that same level. You pick up Gunless, you don't really need that same Zuma and Respawn. They're going to be fine in the slaying category. We've seen it already, but S&D, where has the guy been? Where's the first blood master that we're seeing from Zuma? He might still be recovering from that wrist surgery, but I need to see more from the guy. A negative KD from him. That makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, very unlike the Zuma that we've kind of known over the past couple of years. And to your point, that the first blood king in Search and Destroy definitely needs to bring that today. Moving forward, Momo, I wouldn't surprise me if once again you targeted Elevate. It's been the Elevate story throughout the weekend. Who did you go for?
I had to. And,
there you go. Which one did you pick?
I picked Watson, but honestly, and I'll be very brutal, I could have picked any of them. You know, I really could. Reedy, actually, I'll put him to the side. He played some kind of good card. For these guys, I think Watson, the problem with Watson is he has had that taste, unlike the other two, where he was a real star player. He individually went to, North America. He played alongside the likes of Dream Team and stuff like that. He was picked from Europe to play with North American teams. And I know, that was a long time ago, but he has that capability, he has that natural skill. And I just feel like it's not there. I feel like it's almost... He had attitude problems, and I think that's been put aside, but I just don't feel the hunger from him. I don't feel like he wants to win. And I think that's from teaming with him. That's what the best asset from him was. He was the one shouting, screaming. He was so hungry for it. Well,
they definitely don't want to be breaking Cloud9's record, that's for sure, but it's looking very likely. Moving forward, Merc, who needs to step up, do you think?
Yeah, this is going to surprise a lot of people, these numbers. Proto, I mean, this guy was basically an all-star, and there's not much to say. I mean, a 0.81 overall, 0.35 in S&D. This is from day 2, these stats. Proto, again, this was a guy who was a star in stage 1, star at Anaheim. And if they want to get through the playoffs, he has to step up big time. A 0.35 in S&D just cannot happen. They're lucky they clutched up in that game number 5 versus FaZe.
And bear in mind, you go back to that game number 5. Who was the E6 player that fell off the map? Almost cost them. If it hadn't been for Cade's epic 3-piece, E6 go to around 11 there. So those stats, crazy low numbers.
I couldn't believe that. I really couldn't.
Are you sure that's right?
It must be.
Yes, because I trust the people in the back doing them. But again, Royalty played well, General played well. They need that third guy. Cade at times has fallen off in the respawns. Proto has to be there to pick it up. Cade, though, playing great in S&D. Proto definitely has to step it up if they want to go through the playoffs.
Really does. Now, though, we'll take a look at the day's schedules. You know exactly when your favorite teams are going to be competing at day 3 here. We kick things off with FaZe Clan versus Team Elevate at 3:30. Enigma 6 go up against Ghost, and Enigma 6 is back-to-back. They take on Elevate at 5 p.m. Then to close out the day, FaZe Clan versus Ghost. And I guess I want to get your opinion, but which of those 4 games do you think is really going to be the most important one, which shapes the entire day?
It has to be Ghost versus Enigma 6. How is Enigma 6 going to respond? You know, they lost to Ghost that first time. You know, if they're able to win, they put a lot of pressure on FaZe. FaZe would then have to basically beat Ghost later on the night if of course, Ghost beats Elevate, but that seems to be the story. So that would basically put everybody at 4-2. Whew. So, you know, it'll get real spicy up in here.
Definitely will. Still a lot of scenarios which could happen, but of course, as we said, that first game up on the main stage, FaZe versus Elevate. We have already seen this matchup once. FaZe made slight work of Elevate with a 3-0 victory, and we caught up with both of our 2 teams to get their thoughts on their upcoming match.
Elevate, they're a good team from Europe. We've beat them twice in this year, 3-1, 3-1. So hopefully this time we can get a 3-0 on them. But they're just a good team. We just got to play our game and kind of control the pace of each match and map. I know all the matches are going to be close, so I'm not going to say we're going to 3-0 them, destroy them, but I'm sure they're all going to be close matches, so we'll just see what happens.
We know that they're a very good team. They're a very solid, well-rounded team, but we just need to play our game, and like we have the past times, even though it's going to be different having Gunless on the team now, the S&D could be pretty close because they're a very good S&D team, but I think we'll be fine.
Gunless is just a freak all round. He's so good. Like, if you watch him play in like an awful situation, he can just pick up a two-piece. I think they could be more dangerous with Gunless, but I won't think they will be yet. I think if they make playoffs, that's when they'll be at their best.
S&D is so 50-50. You just need to watch out for Zuma on the flanks. If we come and play our hard point how we know how to play it, we should take the hard point.
It's important that we qualify. Hopefully we win both games, or win one out of two, which will ensure that we do qualify. But we'll see.
Definitely not going to be an easy game for Elevate. As we said, they currently sit at 0-12, matching Cloud9's abysmal performance in Stage 1. Question though, will they take it one step further and break that record? Here are a look at our maps. We start with a Breakout, Hardpoint, Retail Search, and a Frost Uplink. Merc, thoughts on this series just from looking at the maps?
They're not touching FaZe on Breakout or Frost. Retail
record is broken.
Maybe, yeah, but I don't think they're touching FaZe on any of the first two respawns.
Any of the first two respawns? I mean, we talk about the Retail Search and Destroy. Momo, is there potentially a chance they find that first map?
Absolutely. I mean, there is a chance. The S&D is the only chance that they have. It's not going past Game 4 whatsoever. But that Breakout, I'm worried for Elevate. Their current record 1-7. FaZe is currently 77%. It's their best hard point. Okay. It's only going one way. But you know what? I'm going out on a limb. I say Elevate win map 2. Why is the crowd laughing at me?
Even the crowd laughed at Phil right there.
Why is the casters laughing?
Everyone is like, even the cameraman's having a good laugh at you as well. I think everyone knows you're a little out there on that.
3-1 FaZe.
3-1 FaZe.
We saw how FaZe bounced back after their first loss. They played extremely well. A very, very fast 3-0.
You're a bold man, Phil.
Yeah, well,
I appreciate it.
Just
they respect you.
We'll be back here in 35 minutes, and I will be right.
Could potentially be 15. Anyway, without further ado, we'll send it out to our casters for the first series of Day 3, Week 2. It's Maven and Mr. X.
Thank you, guys. I did have a chance to talk with Elevate outside a little bit. Yeah. At first, it was just Reedy out there, and he was excited to play spoiler. He's like, I want to beat FaZe. Make sure they don't get in. They have a chance to do that with Enigma 6 as well.
I want to beat FaZe as well, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, well, that's probably true. Also, it was interesting, though. You know how we talked about Zuma getting surgery, he had a cyst removed from his wrist. Reedy was talking about Zed struggling. Zed then walks out, and he was going like this. I'm like, what's wrong? He has a giant cyst on his wrist as well. I don't know what's going on right now for Call of Duty competitive players, but he also needs surgery because it's just a lump just poking out of his wrist. He said it's been causing him pain, so that could partially be why maybe he struggled.
Yeah, that may explain some of his play because it has not been good, but we can jump right into the first map in this series, and I got to get your expert opinion. We heard from the guys on the desk. What do you think the outcome of this series is?
3-0. If FaZe didn't have as much to play for and Elevate, you know, they're hyped up, they want to play spoiler, I kind of get that there might be a little bit more hunger on one side, but FaZe, this is still so important to them. Like, they have to win this series, and you need to handle business. I think FaZe come out and take care of them.
Does Elevate get a map today?
No.
Oh, be a tough weekend if they're not able to secure a map win. Right now, it's all FaZe. 19-0 and counting. All the kills going in their favor. So it looks like Enable not going to be contested here towards that center hard point. It's an easy first hill for FaZe Clan.
He's even ready for the guys coming up from behind on the flank. They're going to have to push through for the next spawn, but this is a perfect, you're going to get 42 seconds or so on the first hard point. This was, I think, a bit of why you said there's no chance that Elevate was taking this first map or the first two respawns.
I mean, you just kind of find it hard to believe Elevate takes this series. I mean, FaZe gets off to a good start. Enable on a 4 streak, still working towards score streaks. Going to play a little bit slower here. Not going to kind of dart in towards that hard point. As finds one behind him, able to pick up the kill. Elevate is getting a decent amount of time here, though. They do have control of cell block. They got control of the spawns in the back. It's a nice kill there by Zed. Onto Enable as he's on a 3 streak. So Elevate starting to make a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, that was best case scenario for Elevate. Yeah, you had, yes, absolutely, Enable playing a little bit slower. I mean, it's his role kind of with the AR in before in hand, but at the same time, you know he was trying to play around those streaks. So you kill him, don't allow him to get those. You also get a strong hold for the opening 35 seconds here on cell block, but now FaZe has battled back in. Desire still here to try and make a play, but Gunless going to get the better of him. That'll be the remaining ticks here going to FaZe Clan, and Zuma is already soared across, trying to get set up here in Cave. For anybody coming in transition, they were not expecting that.
And I agree with Teep where we've seen FaZe come off of a loss and how strong they played. And I think last night that loss to Enigma 6 really probably woke them up. Probably expected to go into that series, beat Enigma 6, especially when they go up in the fashion they did.
Well, they should have won the series.
Yeah. But Enigma 6, they battle back. They make it very interesting coming into today.
They really do, but let's see what FaZe can do. Through their first best of 5 here against Elevate. So far so good. Controlling Graveyard. Zuma popping up and picking off 2. His teammates playing bait in the back. He's 200 now off the Trinity Rockets. 5-3 on a 4 streak. Zuma called out to pick it up under a 1.0 KD. A guy with a Slayer mindset that needs to go big here. He's holding the edge. He's going to tag everybody. 3 players hit. That's going to slow down the push.
Yeah, they're not going to come around that corner now. All these guys basically one shot. And Zuma still in this position. Is able to pick up 2. He's going to earn himself the Trinity Rocket. The last few seconds will go to Elevate. But FaZe with a big lead. They have control of Commissary. This just looks like a game that's going to get out of control.
Well, this is one of the, I guess, easier to hold and kind of tougher to break rotations when you're talking about Graveyard into Commissary, because you share the same spawn. You're trying to hold in the back there on Helipad, where you see the 6 and the 7 on the minimap just locking it down. They're going to secure back-to-back hard points, and like you said, yeah, this lead could be gigantic here soon.
Oh, it's gonna balloon. It's gonna balloon by almost 100 points here. I mean, you can see where Elevate is on the map. They're just in awful spots. They have to go on that wall run. They have to challenge Zuma here through this middle cut. The only thing that goes in Elevate's favor is gunless team killing Zuma. Other than that, they don't pick up anything there on that push.
Yeah.
We have not seen them really get close to getting this hard point.
It's just a big rotation where you can take a chunk of time. Reminds me of something like, I don't know, maybe Scrapyard to Grandma's on Fringe last year, where you kind of control that same back spawn. You could rack up a ton of time and make a difference in the game. You see FaZe doing it well here. Gunless was on a 3 streak before ultimately dying. Reedy able to come in and break with the 2-piece, but again, you're only getting the final, what, 10 or so seconds in these hard points. The only good chunk of time you've had is the original hold on cell block. Not a lot of positivity to talk about for Elevate right now in game 1.
Without that hold on cell block, this is like you're looking at like 180 to 20 type of game. It's not been pretty, but Elevate inside of the center roof hard point. We'll see if FaZe can break it, get control. They do have control of the cell block spawns. The next hill coming up, and it's going to be 3 kills for FaZe Clan. As Zed, the only one alive here for Elevate. He's going to have to back out. You see him on X-ray there. Just going to let Enable get inside the hill. He's going to have to wait for teammates to get in position before he gets back.
Just backing down for a second, playing his life. Some help from Zuma is able to locate him a kill. Gunless and Zuma doing a good job looking over Enable, who's taking fire but staying alive and still racking up time. Hits the opposite side. Some nice shots to take off the face of Watson there. And yeah, you got a little bit of time here to open up for Elevate before quickly taking control for FaZe. And the other scary thing of this, another hardpoint rotation, which you can kind of control a similar spawn. They've had cell block. They've had the right side of the map completely locked down. Zed, I believe, the only player that's rotated over to cell block. And he actually, by finding that 2-piece, almost a third. Nah, not going to flip it on its head, because you look at the spawns for FaZe. All 3 popping up in the back. The timing could not have been worse there.
Yeah, they spawn right in the back by this hard point. Elevate spawns all the way out. Nobody there to help Zed after he picks up some kills. And now you have FaZe inside of cell block, up by more than 100. Attach spots 1. Knows he doesn't need a challenge. It'll be Zuma that slides out first. Attach in a great position here in the corner. He's going to slide out, challenge Reedy, but Reedy with the E-Rad in his hands, able to win that fight. But if you're FaZe, all you got to do is contest this. I mean, you just don't give up time to Elevate here. You're in a great spot.
Final kill should come in. Nope, still wall running up top. Finally picked off by Zuma. Just under 15 seconds left here. FaZe going to be approaching the 200-point mark. And just like you saw Zuma get an aggressive position on the rotation, this time it's going to be attached. Already set up at Bulldozer and picking up kills.
I feel like this is how a lot of Elevate's hardpoint games have gone this weekend. They've had like some, I think like 1 or 2 close ones. I remember them getting over like 200 points. The rest of them I feel like are just like this.
Yeah.
I think we casted one yesterday. It was 250 to 190. And like, although the score seemed like it was close, like the actual gameplay was not close. And Enable now working on more streaks. You have Zuma with streaks as well. And you thought things couldn't get worse for Elevate. They definitely have.
Enable now just 75 off. There he's picked up the Trinity, and there you go. Bombardment with the 2-piece inside. Gets the kills he needs before falling. And now you've got 3 of the powerful score streaks to work with here if you're FaZe Clan, and just a massive, massive lead. Hell, if they don't get a contest here, this could end in Graveyard.
with the way it's looking right now, I mean, you see Elevate, they're just kind of stacked up in cave. Nobody wants to be the first one to engage.
I would just use some of these streaks. Just end the game. You'd win it right here for your FaZe. Just go ahead. Pop the Trinity, pop a Marvin, pop whatever you want. Just don't let them get close to the card point. Even contest for a second. The game's done. You don't even need the streaks.
No, the game's going to end there. It'll be 250-71 in favor of FaZe Clan. It's Elevate still winless in terms of maps this weekend. That's what, 0-13?
We're approaching the 0-15 meme to join Jack Courage Dunlop. Cloud9 stage 1 was close, but they ended up taking a series, taking some maps.
Two people you don't want to be mentioned in record-wise is Jack Courage Dunlop and stage 1 Cloud9. Then I guess you're approaching Millennium Marky B as well.
For the 0-6.
The 0-6. So not a great weekend here from Elevate. I don't think you need me to tell you that to figure it out if you've been watching. But man, it's it's hard. We talked about it a lot yesterday. It's like, how do they get a win against any of these teams? It's like, usually, like, no, we see Mind Freak, right? They kind of struggled last week. Like, no, they excelled in one game mode. Like, they had one game mode that they could really kind of make their mark on. Like, this Elevate team, you look and it's like, okay, where's their strength? Like, where are they going to win a map? And you just don't.
Well, now it's going to search and destroy. And I want to take a look at the S&D leaderboard for First Bloods. And you'll recognize some of the names up top. It's FaZe, Enable, Zuma, Attach. So on the desk, they mentioned, you know, Zuma's KD hasn't been great, but the First Bloods have actually been there. But that's kind of true for the entire team.
Well, you can also see why Elevate has struggled. I mean, 10 players listed here, they only have 1. So I mean, they're just not getting any First Bloods, really.
No, I think this was similar. We saw, I think it was a Hardpoint top 10, and not a single Elevate player was on that from yesterday, too.
You know what's impressive, actually, there? I believe it was Cade. Had like 7 First Bloods, a positive KD, like a 1.17, and then 11 plants.
Well, he's basically, I mean, if you're talking statistically, he's just picked up where Proto has fallen off. I mean, Proto, we know he was one of your most efficient search and destroy players from stage 1. You saw the stats coming into this. Proto has not been great there whatsoever, but hell, if Cade's going to play like that, you saw him clutch up in that, final game 5 last night with the 3-piece. Cade's going to play like that, it's fine. I mean, think about Enigma 6. It's been interesting. It's like when General kind of fell off, Proto stepped it up. Now Proto's not having the best weekend, Cade's stepping it up. It seems like there's been somewhere there to fill a void that is Times created.
Yeah, I feel like Enigma 6 is a very strong team. I think, obviously, Ghost Gaming comes in very strong this weekend. I think if you were to kind of poll everybody before the weekend began, though, you would have felt like FaZe and Enigma 6 were your clear-cut top 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's who I would have picked. I don't know if it was exactly clear-cut with how good Ghost looked.
Clear-cut, yeah.
But those would have been my top 2.
That's who everyone, I think, would have.
Yeah.
Everyone would have said, you know, Ghost Enigma 6 could have been a toss-up. But I think a lot of people would have favored Enigma 6 there.
No, I think just as, you know, Fnatic in a way, an impressive surprise for some coming out top 2 last week. That is going to be Ghost this week, man. But they've been just even more dominant. But they still have a little bit of a test today. I think, you know, they talked about the odds, that 2%. I mean, really, if I'm correct, it's like Ghost has to go 0-6 in total maps today, and FaZe and E6 have to go 6-0.
If every match today is a 3-0, things could get crazy.
Yeah, they could get a little bit wild.
As soon as somebody wins a map, we have to...
Well, Ghost wins a map, right?
Talk to League Ops.
Okay, well, here we go. It's going to be Elevate on offense first. Zed flying with the ERAD right into Bike. He's got bomb to work with. He does see one hit the cross. Second coming in, a little bit of bait and switch action, likely to come in from FaZe Clan to pick up this kill. Question is, can Zed at least pick up one? He should know he's got 2 in the corner. He got vision on both crosses.
Look how far out Elevate's spread. So you see Gunless going to slide in, pick up the kill. They get bombed down. And look, now it's Reedy and Desire coming on a flank. They get spotted.
I mean, what do you do there? If you're Zed and you know you're isolated with 2 players in Bike, can you get out of there? Do you even have a play to make? But quickly, everybody gone. It's just Watson.
Well, it's just like a poor strategy from the sense that you send the bomb carrier alone into Garage. Then you send 2 players on the long flank. As soon as they kill a bomb carrier in Garage and nobody is there to trade that out, where do you think the other guys are coming from?
Maybe Zed thought...
Like, it's so easy to read.
Maybe he thought he'd get planted in there. It's a stretch plant into Bike.
What did you just call it? A stretch plant?
A stretch plant, yeah.
What does that even mean?
20 yards away from the bomb site. Plant it and...
You're just using words to make that seem complicated.
I was trying to make sense of what they were trying to do.
No.
Which proves impractical.
All right, so if he has camo round 1, he can get through Bike shot.
All right, offense now for Attach and FaZe.
So he should stretch plant in this position.
Yep.
According to Gotcha.
Which, so we're clear at home, is not possible.
Yep. Just to clarify.
Attach, getting behind 2. Easy pickings, 3rd in here. Bring it. He knows he's tagged up, playing his life for now. Last member going to be Watson again. Watson is having a lot of tough situations, a 1v4, now a 1v3.
You had 2 players on Elevate in the same position looking at the same exact thing, and they just let Attach run right up next to them. Just shoot them in the side.
Zuma takes him down. Watson, after picking up the first kill, you know, he hits perfect shots. There may be a chance to turn that into a 1v1, but Zuma Z-Rad gets the better of him. Oh, actually, okay, Enable actually ended up hitting him as well. That explains why he dropped so quick.
It's like Watson adjusting his scuff in between rounds.
I don't know that that's going to matter.
That looks like a USB cable he's putting into the back of his trigger there.
Mixing things up. We've got Enable starting 3-0, Attach 3-1. Attach has found a first blood with a grenade to open things up.
I believe that blew up the van, or if I'm not mistaken. But
it's like every time I see some of these opening players drop from Elevate, they're in some kind of 1v2.
Enable and Attach individually have double the amount of kills as the entire Elevate team.
This is one of the faster search and destroys I've seen. Although I did cast one of the most brutal. I'll never forget. It was
what was it?
It was Envy SB back at Ghost Champs when they went into round 6 and SB did not have a single kill.
Yeah, I remember that.
Everyone was 0-5, and then finally I think Sensor got 2 kills.
Yeah,
or Apathy actually.
Yeah, Reedy with a kill. I believe Watson with a kill. Desire and Zed struggling right now. It's going to be a push through the mid. That'll be another first blood for FaZe Clan, as now they have complete control of the A site. Now they're going to run right into Gunless Z-Rad. Picks up 1. Not able to snap on the second. And Enable spots at least 1, maybe both players here. So now he knows there's both players here. So it's a very difficult position for Elevate to play out of. They have nowhere to go.
Yep,
He's going to take him out 1.
Trying to get out of curb. They're both going to drop. It just doesn't even seem like there's been like a winnable gunfight for anyone on Elevate right now. I mean, every single time, it seems to be some kind of 2-on-1 versus an isolated player. And it helps when Attach is getting first bloods with grenades back-to-back rounds.
This one's not been close. I mean, any of these rounds are just not. I mean, just nothing close. I mean,
I don't know, but Momo said they're taking game 2, so
yeah,
this might be where the rally happens.
I think Momo played.
There we go, Watson with the first blood, hits the snipe.
He's their first blood leader.
Desire turns it into a 3v3 by dropping. Watson out with the pistol. He's flashy, he's fancy, he's gunless. Elevate coming alive. It's electric in the venue. All of a sudden it's Zed in a 1v2.
That's the thing that frustrates you about Watson is you see like flashes of like brilliance.
Well, I think it goes back to a little bit about what Momo was saying in the sense that
they're using a missile for one.
He doesn't. I don't think he thinks he can win this team. I feel it's difficult to be passionate and bring what he does to a team if he just doesn't have faith in what's currently happening. But now it is going to be a 1v1. You've got a camo and bombardment to work with if you're Enable.
You should pop camo and just defuse.
Look at the number 3 in the minute. It's going to be Zed. They should be seeing each other momentarily. There, you got eyes on him. 10 seconds left. This is going to be a round to Elevate. They're on the board.
Yep. It's a good play there from Zed, able to stay alive just long enough to not give Enable enough time to defuse the bomb. But yeah, I do agree. I think Watson we have seen in the past. How good of an AR player was he? Remember back to Advanced Warfare? Very strong with the bow at the beginning of the game. One of the better players in Europe. And then I think he takes a break for a little bit and then comes back. And I think Momo was kind of talking about it. It's just been an attitude thing with him. And I think to end up on a team like this where you're struggling that bad is probably the worst scenario.
What do you compare it to? I don't know. Maybe like a DeMarcus Cousins on the Kings type thing. He knows they're not winning anything, but he's an all-star.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
You can't do much. I mean, in a game where obviously I think one player can make a difference. But one player I don't think can win like a whole series against like another really strong group of 4.
The only time I could think of, well, you can't win it, but I'm just thinking of that individual performance. What was it? Remember, was it Study versus FaZe in Black Ops 3 last year? I can't remember if that was Anaheim, Orlando, what it was, but he had one of the best individual performances I've ever seen. It was like 40, 50 a map. It was wild. But no, I agree with you. That is a struggle. But you'll see the final kill by Enable is they're inching closer to a 2-0 advantage in this one. And you know, you heard what Merc and Teep were saying on the desk. They didn't give them a chance in the 2 respawns. That was certainly the story from the first game. We'll have to see. Frost was that the map that Elevate, that was their closest, is that the one they almost won, or was it Throwback?
It was Throwback.
Okay.
Because Throwback was statistically their best map.
I thought it was Frost from day 1 where they only lost by 1, but I might be wrong on that.
Attached spots 2. Able to pick up the 3rd. It's gonna pop reactive. That'll be 2 kills there for Attach. Make it 3. So now we just have Reedy left here in the 1v4 scenario.
He's spotted by, oh, I thought he was gonna line him up there, but Reedy gets the better of him. Reedy in a 1v4, now 1v3. He'll have Gunless and Enable and Zuma to track down. 50 seconds on the clock.
Man, right now, Enable, just look at the kills for Elevate, and then look at the kills for Enable individually and then Attach individually.
19 and 3. Pretty,
just
pretty
saying,
solid stuff.
Just saying, if you look at, it's 8 kills for all of Elevate, 9 kills for Enable, 11 kills for Attach. It's going to be a 6-1 win there for FaZe Clan. I mean, that's a relatively easy search and destroy. Elevate, I mean, they tried some things. You saw Watson with the sniper rifle have some success, but just not resulting.
The 1 first blood.
I mean, the 1 first blood. I mean, there's not really much they can do right now. You see these guys, they're just so frustrated.
Well, it's a bit, and I know,
it's disheartening when you're playing like that.
For them, this has got to be tough to play right now with how things are going. I'll be honest, it's tough to cast when it's going like this for them.
It's very difficult.
It's become almost comical at this standpoint, or at this point, just because of the fact they haven't won a map. I mean, I know we've been talking about it a lot, beating a dead horse here, but they have not had a good weekend.
And like for them, these matches, like for us, they feel like pretty quick, right? I mean, they just get on the stage and it's just been 3-0s left and right. But for them, this has to be like it's so long on stage. Like you just don't, like you don't understand like when you're up there, like these matches when you're just getting blown out like this, they just drag on for so long. It feels like.
Well, it's 2-0 lead for FaZe.
It is.
Next up, the Uplink. Can Elevate win a map? We will find out. Welcome back. It is time for another rendition of the G Fuel key player matchup for FaZe Clan. It's the young god Attach. And on the other side, we've got Zed from Elevate.
Yeah, Zed's going to have to step up in a big way if Elevate's going to extend this series. You see his uplink numbers, they're not bad. 0.92 KD, 8 total points for the team. But Attach has been great for FaZe Clan this weekend. A 1.04 uplink KD, 9 total points. You're worried about him coming in. He's been underperforming as of late, but I think he's had a big weekend.
Zed and Elevate. Uplink is their best mode. They need to get a victory here. That'll do it for your G Fuel key player matchup.
Do I personally believe in aliens? I don't know, Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know.
I don't believe in aliens, no.
I 100% believe in, any extraterrestrial life. I mean, the universe is infinite, we're that small in terms of huge universe. For someone to say that there's, not any life outside is...
I do not believe in aliens. I think people who do believe in aliens are just crazy.
There's too many stars for aliens not to exist. It's impossible. Someone actually told me that, tried to convince me. I'm like, there's no way that aliens exist, but if you look out into the galaxy, there's way too many planets.
There has to be something out there in the universe. I just feel like there's definitely something out there, though.
When it comes to how far we are from the technology and advancements in IW compared to real life, I think we're not that far off, Who knows, we might see some military flying around in jetpacks soon, so.
I mean, technology is becoming more insane and crazy each day, so.
To be honest, the thing I believe in is the government probably already has that stuff.
I see probably 1,000 years, hopefully, because I'm not trying to get jumped on by no jetpack getting shot at home.
I would, have to see in the next 5-10 years that we probably see plasma pistols and, space travel, maybe even time travel. It's coming soon, so.
I do believe aliens exist because I live with Jack.
They should give Gunless a special on Discovery Channel and just let him talk about the universe and the galaxy.
Him and Killa, just lock him in a room and let him talk.
I'd watch that.
I would too.
I'd watch that. Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, there's got to be something out there. It's a gigantic universe. There's something.
If we're inside, there's nothing up there.
Yeah, I can't see the stars. It's also...
I kind of agree with Gunless that the universe is so big that there has to be something out there somewhere. Maybe those people can help Elevate.
Yeah, if aliens exist, Elevate can win a map. And this is where they do it. Uplink, Frost. Statistically, their best map and mode. I'm making that up. But this is where they're going to do it. This is where they get their victory.
We already know Throwback Uplink is their best moment.
I'm trying to hype them up, man. Maybe they can hear me.
All right, well.
They might have their headphones off. They're clearly not communicating.
FaZe just one map away from taking care of business here at the beginning of the day. Look, they need to get this win against Elevate, although Elevate has now played well. It's an important match for FaZe Clan because, E6 will play against Elevate as well.
Hey.
What?
Reedy's dropping 32 and they're winning.
Okay. I just really have no feelings on that whatsoever.
No, yeah. Okay, into the uplink. Can FaZe keep it going? Zuma will be finding the first kill. A couple down for Elevate. Is now the momentum starts to surge forward here for FaZe Clan. Reedy, though, getting the better of Zuma and halting the push for the moment. But FaZe starting to lunge on forward. They got one more to deal with inside of Research, and Enable up to the task as he gets 2 kills. Drone, though, was tossed forward by Elevate, so no scoring coming, but Enable doing a good job just patrolling there around Research.
What's impressed you the most this weekend with this new FaZe Clan roster?
I guess I knew he was, but I think for me, Enable has proven he's up to the task of kind of filling that role of Clay as far as running the MV4. I don't have any concerns about him doing that. So maybe that's up there as most impressive.
Do you not want to see it against like a Formal or an Octane or before you kind of?
That's true.
I agree. I think he's been incredible with the assault rifle in his hands. I just want to see it against one of the best.
It's tough to tell at this point, but I think so far I like what I've seen. Yes, they've choked some leads. Yeah, they haven't looked great at all times, but it takes some time as Zuma gets a 3-piece, just turning an obliterating Desire, and that's going to be a dunk on through. They have the entire base controlled, so it needs to be an overextension through the cliff side to try and even make a play here. Drone back in the hand now of FaZe as they just continue to annihilate Elevate off spawn.
Desire's had a rough 2 maps. I mean, obviously 0-7, I believe, in the last one. Now getting off to an 0-5 start here. Just the fast pace of play by FaZe has really, just kind of pushed Elevate all the way in the back of their base. You see they're just spawning up, and they don't even want to come out. I mean, there's nothing they could really do. Attach jumps off the map. So he will fall, but see, it's going to be Zuma earning himself the Trinity Rocket. Ooh, it looked like it was going to be a 2-point play. And it will be, as Enable comes in, cleans up 2 more. He's on streaks now as well, getting close to bombardment.
And yeah, this was the map I was thinking of, where Elevate played it very, very close. And it really came down to their defense for the most part. They had a lot of clutch stops. They would bend, not break, not allow dunks to go through. Obviously, that's not been the story here for the opening 2.5 minutes. But at times, they have looked strong here. We'll see if they can turn it around. I mean, the problem is just, morale's got to be
the morale's got to be so far down.
Pretty darn low right now.
And just in terms, like, even morale and just, like, confidence in general. Like, usually, like, when a team struggles, you can point to, like, one thing. Like, okay, we're doing this right. Like, we need to just keep kind of hammering down on this. It's like, just have not seen many great things. And I think FaZe Clan, it's a team where we saw last week, right? The Fnatic, they beat I believe it was Luminosity or AG, and then they lose straight away to Mindfreak. You got to commend FaZe for not kind of coming in here early in the morning, taking this one for granted, letting Elevate come in and surprise them. FaZe has played very well.
Well, it's kind of a point I made before this series started. Like, I just don't think FaZe is at risk of that because this is so important, right? It's not like they've already cemented their spot in the top 2. They're still fighting for their lives for the playoff, and they're giving it to FaZe Clan right now. A couple players down for either side. Is everyone trying to fight towards mid-map for control of the drone? Zed will be the first one set up here on cover. Some shots down rage. Tags have attached, but just the shots off. Like, that's a kill you need to be finishing.
I agree. I think FaZe, they definitely don't want to obviously not qualify for playoffs. That would be brutal not to be at playoffs, but especially after the roster change, right? You want to prove that it was what you wanted it to be. Making it to playoffs would be the first part of that. But then I think even if this FaZe team makes playoffs, they need to perform well at playoffs.
Yeah, they have to qualify. I mean, it's just, it's going to put question marks in everybody's head whether or not the change is the right decision. If you don't make it into playoffs to even compete, and think about what a good tune-up the playoff kind of is for champs. With it right around the corner, you need to be there. You absolutely have to be there.
What was your feeling on the roster change? Just in terms of, did you like it? Did you think it was not enough?
Personally, I did. Just because I know the pace of the game picks up later in the year. I think the style of Gunless has, and the fact that I believe Enable can play his role well, Clayster's role that is, I personally liked it. I mean, I know it's tough when you replace a guy like Clay, one of the most loved players in the community, but I think Gunless is a better IW player right now. I think that's something that's very, very hard to argue. Yes, some of the intangibles are absolutely missing, but if Enable can pick up that slack, I like it. Now, obviously, time will tell. We're going to have this conversation again in a month, but I didn't have any issue with it whatsoever.
18 seconds left. It'll be FaZe at 4-0 here. Most likely going in the second half as Gunless just bringing the drone around the bottom. I'm of the feeling that maybe it warranted 2 changes. Just in the sense that I don't think you can change, like if the goal was to change the team for like the better and try and do something different, go in another direction, when you have 3 of the 4 that have been together so long, and you're just sliding in 1 new player and you're not even really kind of playing to his strengths, you're just kind of filling him in, you're not really going to get a much drastic outcome. Like, sure, Gunless will probably win more fights than Clay did, and maybe that opens up some things for some other players, but it really isn't a huge kind of team dynamic change that I thought they probably were trying to go for.
I guess I agree and disagree in the sense that, yeah, from a playstyle standpoint, keeping 3 of the same core guys, sure, but I just think
I do think you look at
a change of scenery, some fresh air, just a little bit of a reboot in a sense. It's more of a mental thing for me in a lot of ways.
And I think you do look at those guys, obviously the 3 that they keep, and it's like they're so supremely talented that I don't even know where you would have gone.
Well, that was our conversation even into last year in Black Ops 3 where FaZe struggled. It was just like, you and I would talk about it all the time. We'd have you, me, Rev, and Jack sitting around talking about who would you drop, and if you drop somebody, who the hell are you replacing them with? because how good the 4 guys were.
Yeah, you're not really making a move forward at that point. You were just making a lateral move. You were just just picking somebody up just for the sake of making a change when it wasn't necessarily a better player, so to speak. But we have seen rosters in the past that you sub out somebody who's like a really strong player for somebody who's not as good, but it just makes the team click a little bit better. But I don't know if that's a route that, FaZe, when you have that much talent around you, do you want to go, remove somebody from the team for somebody who you know is a lesser player, just to see if it works better teammate-wise? I don't think so.
No, I certainly agree there, and that's why you even saw people after you talk a little bit about the dynamic for Optic. Maybe some people were saying a team change, Karma struggle, get him out of there. But sometimes people don't realize, yeah, slaying is so important, but you need that comp, that chemistry to fill certain roles.
Yep.
And that's why you have guys like Karma that seem irreplaceable. But for FaZe, I don't know. It's just I personally think they're going to improve. The only issue I have is there the time to do it? I mean, especially if you don't make it into playoffs. If you don't make it into playoffs, how are you prepping then for champs? The top 8 teams are going to be competing at stage 1 the week before, well, week and a half before, basically. Like, how are you going to get that prep in? Like, it's almost like stage 2. I know there's $500,000 on it. It's incredibly important, but it's a prime scrim time in a way for COD champs.
I was talking to Teep and Merc about it yesterday, and if I was FaZe Clan, I would come back week 4. Obviously, contingent if I qualify for playoffs.
Yeah.
I would come back week 4, and I would scrim every team here, because all of those teams are playoff caliber.
I would stay here. I would come here if you didn't get into playoffs.
Yeah,
I would consider if you know you're going to get consistent scrims in, there's going to be teams here that don't want to play against each other because they're going to match up in Stage 2 playoffs bracket. If you know you can come here and consistently get solid scrims 2 weeks before COD champs, if you have the money to do it, I think it's a no-brainer.
Well, think about the teams you can play week 4 on LAN. You get consistent games against Cloud9, Epsilon, Envy, and Optic all weekend long. Why would you not? If you're a playoff team that qualified early, why would you not be down here week 4?
No, yeah, I think it makes sense because the week 4 teams, they're not gonna play against each other, right? So you would have, and I mean, I would be here week 4, and I would also be here week 5. I would stay for week 4. I'd be here for the playoff and get whatever scrims you.
Well, there is no week in between.
Yeah, right.
It goes all the way through.
That's what I'm saying. I would just
I would just stay the whole time. Yeah, I would stay from week 4 all the way through playoffs. That's if I was running FaZe or another team who.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I would do that regardless of whether you got into playoffs because I just think it's practice you need.
Hell, if I'm a team like EG, I definitely would come back, right? I mean, you're right on the border of qualifying for playoffs. You don't make it to playoffs.
Yeah, no.
But still, everybody who you would have wanted to play, think about it. The last chance qualifier teams are going to be here.
Week 4 has, like, 3 teams that could have been in the top 4. We know Epsilon was. We know Cloud9 got it. Optic obviously has the potential to be there. Like, yes, I agree wholeheartedly, and we'll see who has the resources to do that. But I certainly agree.
And I mean, we haven't talked a lot about this game just because it's a blowout. It's at 9-0 in favor of FaZe. A minute to go.
There are 60 seconds left for Courage, holding the title of the 0-15 meme. Elevate about to join.
It has been a rough weekend for Elevate. To be fair, I know this group obviously very difficult, but still, I mean, you got to get a map. I mean, see if they can put points on the board here. It's going to be a nice FTL use there from Zed, and he puts in a 2-point play. So they do get some points here late.
30 seconds left on the clock before FaZe enjoys a hot 3-0. And I don't think you've really put any pressure necessarily onto E6 yet, just because I think most of us expect the Elevate side of these to be 3-0s. I mean, the ones that are really going to matter is going to be the interactions, the map count, how everything goes against Ghost Gaming, which we'll see shortly. But as time ticks off the clock, the nightmares for Elevate continue. FaZe completely handles business. This does not look like it was any kind of trap game. They know it was on the line. They came in, they gave it all, and they absolutely smoked them.
It's a dominant 3-0 performance from FaZe Clan here to kick off day number 3. They have one more match to go. That'll be later against Ghost Gaming. So, FaZe obviously still battling for their playoff spot. This group still very open at the top. Obviously, Elevate, they've secured that bottom spot. I know they're very bad right now, not in a good spot. Those other 3 teams, though, they're battling out at the top.
I mean, the only good thing, if you're Elevate, you're in stage 2, you're into champs. I believe it works out where you have your one.
We know they're in stage 2. This is stage 2.
Oh, I'm saying they're in stage 2. They'll be into champs.
Okay,
I'm saying they've already qualified into champs. So you have your top 8 teams will be kind of your 1 seeds through your 8 pools of champs. Your 9 through 16, I believe, are your second spot. So they're going to be sitting in still a good spot going into champs. The question is, what can you turn around? At least you have some time to get back and.
Well, they got to practice hard. I mean, this team just needs to kind of throw out everything they've been doing. Really sit down. Hopefully, Zed, he said he's kind of dealing with an injury. Hopefully he gets better. Plays more like the Zed we saw at the beginning of the year. And then, I mean, they're a team where I would consider coming back, scrimming some teams, you know, just hanging around.
Maybe a chance to shock a champs, right? Yeah. There'll be low expectations of what they're going to do. Maybe a chance to get some trap games, to surprise some people. But guys, that's going to do it for our first match of day 3 here at stage 2. Hey, buddy, we're back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Maven. Thank you, Matt. FaZe, of course, 3-0 victory over Elevate as expected. Really not too much to break down. I kind of feel sorry for you guys because you've been saying pretty much the same thing all throughout the weekend when we've been talking about Elevate in terms of what they actually need to improve on. And I imagine it's going to be very, very much the same in this series as well. But Elevate now sit at 0-15. They broke Cloud9's record from stage 1. The only question really left that remains is, will they actually win a map? I guess, Momo, do you see that likely? Do they have any chance, you think, or do they finish stage 2 here 0-18?
I think it's bound to happen 0-18. The only reason why as well is what have they got going into that really the other to fight for? It's kind of like the effort isn't there. We talked about being hungry and stuff like that, but it's just not there for them. They know their outcome. They know they're finishing 4th, and the team that they will be playing is very, very hungry. Like, that's true. It's the complete opposite. It couldn't be you know, polar opposites.
They could quite literally, though, be the showstoppers, if you will. They could really cause a huge upset if they did win.
I mean, absolutely. They could kind of turn a few heads, but, you know, they're 0-15 now. I mean, some of their stats is incredible. This new team for Elevate, their hardpoint win percentage is 7%. They've won 1 out of 14, and that was against Era at Anaheim, and that was a close game. That was 18 points. I hate to kind of put them down even more, but they need to change something. Everything.
Yep. I don't got nothing to say. You're pointing at me. Joe, what do you want to say? I mean, game number 1, FaZe just kind of handled their business. Again, that's sort of the tough thing. I think the caster sort of talked about it. Like, these guys might be able to surprise a team on a day 3 if they've already qualified for playoffs or just because it's first game of the day. But Enigma 6 and FaZe, they need map wins. They have to go 3-0 just to help them in case of tiebreakers. So these guys are going to win, and they're just going to handle their business.
Very true, of course. And Nabel goes 18-9 there in map number 1, posts a 2.0 KD, final score 250-71. Swiftly moving over to game 2, the Search and Destroy on Retail. FaZe take it 6-1, and honestly, it could have been a 6-0. They only lose round number 5. Enable 9-0. Just incredible stat line for him throughout this entire series. And you look at some of the finishing stat lines on the Elevate side of things. You had Reedy 3-7, Watson 3-7, Zed 2-7, Desire 0-7, James Bond in the house. But at times, TB, it was almost as if Desire didn't care. He was just throwing his life away, aimlessly just flying out of windows and doors.
These are the type of games that just kind of make me angry. Rosters are locked. This is your team for champs. What are you going to go? You're going to just chill here, do nothing, not even try on a lot of these maps and go home and scrim worse teams? This is the best practice you're going to get before champs. And this Search and Destroy map, how many times did you see a player from Elevate just run out and die? It just doesn't seem like any communication is going on from them. And I mean, I get it. There's really not much more for them to play for here, but you have the biggest tournament still on the line. If you think you're even going to make it through a group playing like this, practicing like this, you're wasting your time. Why? Are you here if you're not going to try a little bit harder? Talk.
4 weeks.
This is your team. Are you going to give up this early?
Yeah, 4 weeks. 4 weeks until champs, you know, so.
It's a bad mentality.
Yeah, you just had to keep getting better. I don't know if they need to just get into a room and yell at each other, you know, probably figure it out, but something needs to change.
Definitely does.
You would hope that they just put a little bit more effort, try to figure things out, switch things up, figure out their roles. As Tyler said, you have to do it here. There's no reason not to. You're playing some of the best teams in the world. What are they going to go home, play 8s? Like, I don't know.
8's is great practice.
Sure.
Enable and attach both individually with more kills than Elevate combined as a team in map number 2. So that really tells you everything you need to know. Move forward, Uplink, game 3, more of the same, to be completely frank. It was 4-0 in favor of FaZe for the majority of the game. There was an Elevate interception, which I guess you can get excited about if you're an Elevate fan, but the game finishes 9-2 in FaZe's favor. And as I said, Elevate now sit at 0-15, a very, very poor weekend from them. You guys have touched on it all weekend, so I don't want to kind of beat a dead horse, so to speak.
Dude, just think if they were in like next week's group or week 4's group, right? Like, I guess week 1, they beat Mind Freak at Anaheim, but they're simply just outclassed by every single team in the Global Pro League. I think Mindfreak is probably the only other team I would say, hey, they have a chance, right? Like,
Mindfreak beat Fnatic though, didn't they? I mean,
right.
They just won a series.
I think you put those two teams at 15-16, but if these guys were in like a week number 3 where you have like an E United, a Rise, and a Red Reserve, like they're not gonna win there either.
No.
I mean, week 4, if you put them with Optic, Envy, and Cloud9, not gonna win there either. So I just.
Yeah, very, very low possibility of causing an upset, and that's exactly why they're sat where they are. But to your guys' point again, you just feel like they have to sit themselves in a room.
Yep.
Talk to each other. Really just
My point is these games could be somewhat competitive. We saw a couple of good maps from them yesterday.
Right.
The hard points are getting above 200 points, things like that. And granted, it's not really what you're going for in a situation like this, but they're making the maps competitive. They're not anymore. They've given up. It's childish. It's pathetic.
Yeah. Well, you pretty much summed it up better than I could. Moving forward, though, we can take a moment to advertise Call of Duty World Championship tickets. Of course, they are on sale now. MLG.TV/CWL Champs. COD Champs August 9th through the 13th. But the first game of Day 3, Week 2, now in the books here at the Call of Duty Global Pro League presented by the PlayStation 4. The match went as expected, with Elevate now holding the worst record in the CWL this year at 0-15, rivaling Jack's Meme. Up next on the main stage, probably the most important game of the day, E6 and a must-win matchup against Ghost Gaming.